and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Cedar Run Decoys. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver.
That's right. So yeah, get something that's going to last. Get a collectible. Cedar Run, if you want something that you're going to hand down to your kids and grandkids, nothing better than hand-painted decoy from Cedar Run.
Yeah, because most mounts aren't going to make it. I mean, we're going through that 20 and 30-year phrase through here, and you start having a bird that's been on the wall 20 years, and they start coming apart. I mean, you don't see very many mounts that are going to last. A good mount that's going to last more than 20 to 30 years. But you give a kid a mounted or a decoy that's carved.
That's right.
Lasts forever. It's a great gift. So, anyways, check them out. Cedar Run. They got some great things.
Shotgun pellets in it. Tell the story.
Well, we've got our newest decoy coming out is the Mexican tree duck of the Big Honker collection. It's Tony's autograph on it, me and Andy's, and it's just an unusual duck, and I like unusual things. But the next one we're going to have is going to be the Victor Mallard decoy. And me and Tony grew up hunting with my father, and we had a Victor decoys. We had a couple of them that we hunted off of, and one of them's got a pellet in the neck in the other room where Tony shot it. I'm just going to say Tony shot it, and it's got that same pellet from when Tony was 6 to 7 years ago. So 50 years ago, that decoy we hunted over 50 years ago, and we're going to have a replica of that, and that's going to be the Ron Stanfield decoy as part of the Big Honker collection. That will be coming out probably early spring is when I would guess. Hopefully by Turkey Convention it'll be there, and you can purchase them from Corey at Cedar Run at the NWTF. With us today from Kentucky via Midland through Abilene today, going to Woodson to pick up a dog, then to Pawhuska, Oklahoma, Mr. Kenneth Witt. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, thank you. It's great here to be here on opening day of dove season.
Well, we had a tough day today. I can sit here and brag and tell you we shot 100 people shot a limit, but I'd be lying to you. We were on the struggle bus today. We had a lot of we lost a lot of birds overnight, or since yesterday when it started raining again.
Now, hopefully I can turn the luck around.
I hope so. The boys in Wichita, I talked to Rustin. They done really good today, and Justin them done good around Abilene. But right in Knox City North, we had lost a lot of birds. We're an open book about stuff. It's hunting.
Yeah.
We're going to put it the same afternoon. We got thousands and thousands of acres of milo and corn that's been cut, and we have thousands and thousands of acres of not having a lot of dove on them today. But that can change tomorrow. But that's part of life in this business. So, Kenneth, you started out in Kentucky, right?
Yes, sir. Born and raised in southeast Kentucky.
Southeast Kentucky. Is that bourbon country? Because I don't know a lot about Kentucky.
It's the bourbon state. I live more in moonshine country because I'm in the southern Appalachia, right on the Tennessee-Virginia line. So it's more up there.
You're Chattanooga.
Chattanooga we're closer to Knoxville. Chattanooga's on the south border of Tennessee. We're just on the north border. Actually, I border Claiborne County, Tennessee.
Claiborne County, Tennessee is where you're from.
Well, I'm on the Kentucky side in Lexington
Kentucky's
County.
Okay, but you're okay. So Cherokee's on the south side. Then that would be the North Carolina area.
Yes,
around Asheville. How far is Asheville from where you're from?
Well, because the roads are so curvy and crazy, it's about 4 hours, 3.5. But if as a crow flies, 150 miles probably.
Really?
Couldn't be. It's not that far. Like the Smokies, it takes about 2.5 hours or so to drive the Smoky Mountains, but. If it were a straight shot, we could probably get there in less than an hour.
I've only been in that area a couple of times. That's beautiful country through there.
It is. It is. It's we say it's a subculture. Appalachians. I just came back from a coon dog competition in Indiana, and I was sitting at a table with a bunch of boys from eastern Kentucky. Where I'm from, the same area, and some boys from West Virginia, and my wife's from Dallas. She went to Ursula. So you talk about culture shock. She was trying to understand what we were saying because I went straight up.
She's high maintenance, isn't she?
She looks it, but she's not that bad. I'm not gonna say anything else on here, but she was, she's like, oh, y'all just alike, and I was like, I have to keep telling people Appalachians are like Cajuns, right? We have our own dialect, our own way we talk, words, and they say that our dialect is actually closer to the original Old English than England itself now. Because, we migrated in the Appalachian Mountains late 1600s, early 1700s, and never left. And we were kind of cut off from the world.
That's where the whites are from, right? The famous whites.
Jesco White.
No. Oh. The inbred whites that the guy went and lived with. They have the dogs and just.
No, that's West Virginia.
That's West Virginia?
Okay.
That's some serious hill jacks.
Yes.
Like they threatened the guy that done the documentary on him. Like he's afraid to go back there for his life. I've always been told, because
Now he is?
That's what I'd been told. I have never, ever been turned loose on those areas. I loved to go back roads, and everybody told me, said, you do not want to drive the back roads in those places.
I disagree. And here's why. Like, my buddies from East Texas have been out there hunting and stuff with me at home. You know, they were like in culture shock because, first of all, one time they told me I was from the north, and that's fighting words to an Appalachian, right? Well, you don't say that to us. We talk different. We have our own culture, right? But if you or your son or your wife were to break down anywhere in East Kentucky, people would bend over backwards to
So
help
it's the
you.
same as being in West Texas.
Yes,
then.
sir. It's West Texas. Even the accents are somewhat similar in parts of West Texas. But yes, and you know, heck, if you think about it, a lot of West Texas was settled by Kentuckians and Tennesseans. And,
Yes, it was.
you know, so I tend to think that it's a really safe area. I still think that.
Where do they find the ginseng at, or ginseng, or everything?
So ginseng's about anywhere in the Appalachian Mountains. My uncle by marriage, a great uncle, showed me how to find it in high school. And I remember this in the 80s. I'll be 57 here in 11 days from today.
We're in the same age group.
That's right. You know, you get a shoebox full back in the day, which would be about a pound. It was about $150, $175 back then.
That was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money. So, you know, I'm not a ginseng expert, but I learned to dig it and spot it, locate it, and it's still pretty profitable, I would imagine.
There's a show on TV, and you know, they find the biggest rednecks to do shows on all the time. It's, you know, it's like that old deal where the tornado hits that town, and the lady said, "Oh my God, we could have been killed or worse." You know, those kind of people. And it was the ginseng people, and I watch and I laugh so hard at people because it's a TV show, so they're putting a lot of drama to it. But there's a lot of fighting and stuff over trying, because it's public land. Everybody goes on, right?
A lot, yeah, yes, sir. It's you know. There's a lot of private land, but not like Texas. You know, you still have, like where I'm from is the Daniel Boone National Forest, so you have a lot of that stuff. Which, you know, again in the 80s, those areas were heavily planted marijuana. You know, Steve Earle's song Copperhead Road was actually about that area. But, and then, you know, people could grow it. You know, the government, if they caught you growing marijuana, they would confiscate your land. Well, you can't confiscate federal land.
Makes sense.
You know, anyway.
Oh, so they would grow it on federal land?
Yes, yeah.
I'll be damned.
So, no joke, when I was in high school, only high school in the whole county where I'm from, Leslie County High School, we actually had kids that would bring Polaroids to school who had the biggest pot plant in the fall before harvest time.
Right.
You know, but that things change. The feds come in, and it's not like that as much as it was back then. But back then, it was a big thing.
So it went from moonshine to pot.
Yeah, and then thanks to the Discovery TV show about moonshiners, I guess it's Discovery Channel.
I think so.
Now moonshine's popular again, and now you can get it in all kinds of flavors, and now it's store bought. But everybody started bringing their stills out back home again and making it themselves because that show just got the demand up so high for moonshine.
Have you ever made whiskey?
I've been in
moonshine?
a building where it's been made. Yes.
Is it hard to do?
It's a recipe. It's a skill. It's a craft. It's just like, you know, if you're baking a cake or a pie, it's the ingredients. You got to have good ingredients and the right mixture. People that take pride in it can make some really good moonshine.
How long does it take to flip it over?
Oh gosh,
Like from the time you do the mash?
I'm just going to guess that, Jeff. I would say about 3 days, roughly.
Wow,
Now, that could be wrong.
That's making some money.
I could text 2 people right now and give you an exact answer, but I'm not. But I've never. Yes, I'll plead the fifth. I've never taken it that far. I've watched it come. I've watched it cook off.
But that's a lot of money if you're flipping it in 3 days.
Yeah, but you know, honestly, I don't think it's that crazy profitable. If you, it's just like you know, dogs. If you breed dogs and you do it right, and you buy good genetics, and you do the right health testing, and do everything you're supposed to do, you know, it eats a lot of profit away. Same with moonshine. You make really good moonshine, use really good quality ingredients. You know, you're not getting rich. It's a lot of work.
I'm not a whiskey drinker anyways. I can't imagine the taste of moonshine, because the moonshine I've had, and I've had some guys from up north make it. I had a guy in Knox City that used to make it, and he used to make me peach flavored, and he'd bring me a bottle. And here I was a judge, and he would be like, he'd call up and say, "Hey, go out on your front porch," and there'd be a little mason jar there with some peach moonshine, and it was good. But I don't drink it every day. But I can't imagine just drinking just regular old, non-flavored moonshine.
It's kind of a sweet liquor. But, you know, now you just made me think of a funny story I've got to tell you. So,
Okay.
you know, I was county attorney in Kentucky for a while, and there as a prosecutor. So I had to prosecute a moonshine case. Well, you don't get moonshine cases. It was very rare. I mean, I'd never seen one the whole time I'd practiced law. And finally I went and asked the state trooper. I was like, why we got this case on the dock? This is weird. He said, Ken, he sold some moonshine to some teenagers and their mom found out and she called and pressed us. So that's why we're here. I said, okay. So I go up and this guy, literally, he looks like the real deal. He's in overalls, got a beard on. I'm in Leslie County. I'm not going to mention names. And I knew who he was, obviously. And I said, Mr. Blank, do you have an attorney? No, sir. I'm just going to represent myself. Why would y'all arrest me for anyway? I said, well, it wasn't me. I said, you sold it to some kids and told them the story anyway. The judge will know if I can go back, maybe, work a deal out with him instead of going to trial, which is what you do with most of those district court cases. And
saves
so
a bunch of time.
Saves a lot of time. So I go back there and I said, if I get you to plead guilty and do a conditional discharge, if for 6 months you can't have any violations, or then these charges come back and any new charges that you have. I said, well, you agree to that? He said, yeah. He said, by the way, he said, you look just like your daddy. I said, huh? He said, you're Ronnie Witt's son, ain't you? I went, yeah. He said, yeah, your daddy was up there at the house last night. And that was my dad's a musician and a connoisseur customer. So I was like, Judge, I may have a conflict of interest here. But anyway, that's small town. You know that.
Yes.
You've done this stuff. But yeah.
So what'd you do to him? Did the 6 month?
I did 6 months
plea
plea
for
deal.
6 months, nothing happens to him?
Yeah. And
Don't catch daddy up there.
yeah. I was like, Dad, thank God he didn't say it in open court on the record. Because the whole court, which everybody would have laughed, but still.
They all know.
Yeah, they all knew.
So moonshiners are not looked at as anything bad in the community, and everybody knows they do it.
True. And I'm saying this on the air, but even back in the 80s, a lot of the people that's growing marijuana in East Kentucky, were doing it because it's a poor area, and it was money. And a lot of the people that grew it weren't users. And the second thing, like in our county, you couldn't, if you indicted someone for cultivating marijuana in Leslie County, the jury wouldn't convict them. So they finally started taking those cases to federal court because they couldn't get a conviction in these counties that grew it because, hey, it was a livelihood for people. JoJo's
fucking family's just barely eating, getting by, and this here's going to make them their life a little bit better.
Yeah. Like my cousin's family still owns a hardware store. It's been there for 2 or 3 generations at Horton Hardware. In the spring, they'd sell a boatload of Miracle Grow in these little short handle holes where they'd be hoeing that pot, hoeing weeds out of it. And then fencing, this little fencing, portable fencing, keep groundhogs and deer out of it. And then in the fall, the used car lots and a Honda dealership in Hazard, they'd sell out everything they had because everybody harvest time come in. So everybody had cash. They'd go buy a new car, a used car, and they'd go buy a brand new 4-wheeler at the Honda shop. It was the economy.
It was good for the economy.
It was.
So nobody wanted to see that cut off.
Yeah. I can remember a life story, and I'll shut up about that. So in the summer, they started sending the feds and National Guard. That's when it all changed, and that's probably late 80s. They had some federal program called HIDA, High Intensity Drug Enforcement, or something like that. But anyway, they sent in National Guard every summer, and they just camp out in the county, like at the high school, and just go fly out and cut down pot. Well, they were this one section of the county where a lot was grown, and there was a general store up there. When the National Guard pull in there to go in there and get something to eat or something, they'd lock the door and put a close sign up. Wouldn't serve them. Because they were killing their income. Killing their economy.
Yeah, that's not good for their business.
Yeah.
They weren't in the pot business, but they were making money. Because of the pot business.
So it's it's all changed.
Is methamphetamines taking over there like it is everywhere else?
It has.
That's terrible to a community.
It is. It went by the end of my attorney career, and I was a county judge after that, like you. But in Kentucky, a county judge is not a judicial position. I was basically the mayor of the county government. At that time, you didn't see DUI wasn't the issue anymore. It was people were taking pills. It was OxyContin. And, we had a community of coal miners. So all these coal miners get injured. They go to the doctor. Well, the doctor's giving them OxyContin. So it just started, the rest is history. There's been movies about it. And, our vice president of the United States wrote a book about it. So his family's from Breathitt County. That's just 2 counties over from us. So then when they busted all the doctors and took the OxyContin away, where everybody was afraid to prescribe it anymore, then they substituted that with meth and heroin and whatever else.
Where was Dope Sick? Where was that based out of?
Is that the movie that you talked about?
Yeah, it's got Michael Keaton in it. He's the doctor, and he was prescribing it. I think but it's a coma. I'm trying to find it right now. But
no,
Purdue
Hillbilly
Pharma
Elegy
is who he got in contact with, and he just got paid to
and I've not seen
prescribe.
that.
You haven't seen Dope? Oh, Dope
No,
Sick's
I've
a
gotta
really good
see
show.
that.
It's on. It was on Hulu whenever I watched it. I don't know what it's on now, but it's 8 episodes, and it's a coal mine in town, and it shows just how it just wrecked the community.
It destroyed our town. I mean, it was so. At one point, I owned a gun and pawn shop, and you got where you couldn't take anything to pawn shop without running through the state police posts, especially firearms, because
Those are all stolen.
Yeah, the only good thing was we knew who the druggies were. When they come in the door, small town. So you usually knew who they were, and
you know how you can tell in Texas?
How?
They're riding a Huffy bicycle. If you see a 35-year-old man riding a Huffy bicycle, some bitch is strung out on dope. I'm telling you right now.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? If you see one of them riding a Trek or a Cannondale, he's probably in it for some exercise. But if a grown man's riding a Huffy bicycle around, he's dabbling in the methamphetamine market. I'm promising you.
That's a new way to profile.
Everywhere you go, I'm telling you, I'm a profiling some bitch doing a stereotyper. My good friend Douglas Spells told me I'm not a racist, I'm a stereotyper. And that's what I am. I stereotype people. And if I see a grown man on a Huffy, I'm saying methamphetamines.
Well, they told everybody that it was not an addictive at first. It's how they sold OxyContin in it.
Yeah, and Andy, don't quote me on this. I learned back then when we were prosecuting so much of this stuff and seeing so much of it, I was told that, and like I said, this might not be official, that it was made for terminally ill patients who weren't made to get off of it, like cancer patients.
Right, that makes sense.
And what was happening when it first hit, and this is around 98, 99 roughly, when it first hit our area, it had a time release on it.
Yes.
And they released an OxyContin 80. Like, you get shoulder surgery, you get a 5 milligram, but they actually had 80s milligram, and they were melting those down and shooting them up, and it took that time release off, and people were dying just overdosing like crazy at home there for a while. When it first hit, we had a lot of deaths.
Yeah. And in the movie, it showed, it's like you said, it has a time release, and then basically once you get addicted to it, you need more of it. So they started with like a 20, and then it went to a 40, and then like you said, they had like an 80 for people that had been on it for 6 months or whatever. And I mean, it's just, if you're not kicking it.
If somebody listening to this is going through this, or their family is, if you're having to do something like that because you're cancer and you can't get out of bed and you hurt so bad, we ought to be able to put people to sleep. And I know that sounds absolutely. My dad died of cancer. My father-in-law died of cancer, and my dad and my father-in-law both should have got to be able to have that option. It's a miserable life. There's no. You're not going to get better. There's not going to, unless some miracle from God happens. You're going to die from that stuff, and your last 6 weeks of your life are going to be absolute hell. And for us to sit and watch an animal, dog, if my dog is sick, I'm putting him down in 2 days. I'm not going 6 weeks or 8 weeks and making him suffer. So why can't you do that for a human being?
I watched my grandmother die of that, slow, painful, and she was in so much pain. It was just, So it's something. It's not something you want to see.
No, and the humane thing would be to put them out of their misery. And we can't do it, and that just does not make sense. But I'm going to switch this up, but we're talking about Dope Sick show. Andy got me and Michelle watching a new show on Netflix, and I talk about shows on here.
HBO.
It's called Mortician. Is that what it is?
Mortician.
Have you seen that?
No.
I'm telling you right now, it's a docuseries about a mortician in the Los Angeles area that was baking people. He was a crematorium. And I did not realize this. Now, this is the technology this was the mid-'80s, right? I think 85. So. They would one body takes about 10 hours to cremate. Well, they were throwing 10, 15 bodies in this thing at a time and just baking them all together. And then just
more than that.
They were doing more than
hundreds
at a time.
How many episodes have you seen?
2. So I guess we're going to get to that part.
No, you saw it. Whenever he moved to that ceramics place, he was on 100 then.
Okay, and they had when they finally got busted on this, you have to watch. It's a great series though. There was so much fat and rendering off of the human body that it was just a mess. And a guy smelt it. And he had been in Fallujah, I think, in Iraq or Iran or somewhere. And
I thought he was Vietnam.
Maybe it was Vietnam, but he smelt the burning flesh.
He knew that
called
smell.
in. He goes, "That's a smell of bodies being burnt." It was a kiln there, and they were burning. But their crematorium had caught on fire, and it burned it
Because
down.
he had
with
a dope head working for him, and he fell asleep.
Fell asleep and let people burn up. But they were burning, but they would break arms and everything to shove everybody in this furnace, do it. And this guy was doing 25,000 bodies a year or something. And you figured up at $1,000 a piece or $1,000 a piece, $25,000 is a lot of money. At 25,000.
But so what even brought this up the other night? We had some friends over and they were talking. One of their mothers passed away, and they called all the crematoriums in the area, and they were all about like $8,000 to cremate a body. Well, they found one, they'd be $1,000, and they would take care of everything. Well, when they were touring the place, they had one kiln for where they do it, but then they had like 4 or 5 others where they were doing it for all of the places that they had called. So these places that were charging $1,000, they weren't even going to cremate the loved one. They were going to go to this company where they ended up getting it done, and they were going to charge them $8,000 to do it. So they were going to profit $7,000 on the side, or you could just go to this one place and have it done for the $1,000. So,
wow,
like they're not even like they're making a killing, and they're not even doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're just giving it to this company.
I'm thinking about getting in this cremation business. But this is what's crazy about this show is when this guy does it, they would break arms and stick all that, and then when you'd come in there. They had like an envelope as a baby's, how much a baby would have. So they would doll out and put it in an envelope. There's your baby. And if it was a kid, they might put it in a coffee cup, would be all your ashes. So you was getting ashes from whatever. Oh. Now, I guess I'm getting old because I was like, well, my dad's ashes are there. I guess it's my dad. It's not my dad anyway. So it is. It's not him there, but it's just like Lou's ashes are supposedly in that. That could be a poodle. We don't know. We just assume that's what we got. That didn't bother me no bad. And then this really didn't bother me, and this is why I'm probably going to go to hell. The guy working there was taking out people's gold from their teeth. Like they'd have their teeth. Yeah, he'd pop and a hammer, and they'd knock the gold out, and they were saving the gold for it and shit. And I thought, well, hell, you're going to waste it anyways. What's the big deal? Or they would steal rings off of people.
For recycling.
Yeah. So if you took a ring, though, and you had a gold ring like my gold band here, and I died, well, why would Michelle go send it to be cremated anyways? It's going to be there anyway. So they were just taking the gold and keeping it themselves. I thought, that dude's a pretty sharp businessman here. Yeah. A little ethically, a little bit wrong, and morally, but pretty damn smart.
How long do they get away with this?
Well, I haven't. I'm only to see episode 3's coming on now, and I can't wait to see it.
I'll have to check that out.
But it's a really interesting. It's getting deeper and deeper, and you're finding out that a lot more people are involved. There's some crooked fuckers, but it's a really interesting docuseries. I thought
when he got caught, the lead detective was like, other than some environmental stuff, I really don't know if we have anything here. He's like, ethically, what he did was wrong, but he's like, I don't know that there is a law that says that you have to just burn one body. And like I said, I haven't seen the whole thing, so maybe there is.
See, that's
I bet there is now. But the lead detective was like, we've got to go to the law books here. He's like, I don't know if there's anything on the books that he did anything wrong other than some environmental stuff because he just had the fat kind of running outside the building. He's like, aside from that and some pollution, we're going to have to figure this out.
They've probably added a lot more codes and rules to it now. But like you said, there's probably nobody would have thought you'd stick 10 bodies or 100 bodies in the oven and cook them all at once.
I'm sure that wasn't on the bar exam.
No.
Yeah.
Never,
right.
Never. But it's a really interesting show. But it's about how many bodies. But they're doing 26. And they said it was crazy because one guy would be able to do one body a day. And if he had 2 ovens going, he might be able to do 3 if they could, But this guy's doing 25,000 of them.
I just didn't have any idea it'd take that long.
I didn't figure it either. I figured you just torch them and.
And it takes a while for the ovens to cool off so that you can retrieve the ashes. That's part of the fact. It's got to heat up and it's got to cool down for you to handle the ash.
But 20 and you know what the cost? This is what's really pretty cool. This made me thinking. They said it cost about $10 in fuel to burn a body is all. Just $10 in diesel fuel would burn the whole body. And I'm thinking, and they're charging, and I don't even know what they're charging. I just assumed powered? It was. I guess it was just like a big oven. But said $10 in diesel fuel would do an oven at a time. And they're charging $1,000. You don't have a lot of. What I didn't understand is when his one burned up, why he hadn't built 2 or 3 others anyways.
Right.
If I'm cooking that many people, I'm
he
doing
can pay for it.
Yeah, pretty fast.
The one thing that he said is the oven, it's got a brick bottom. So he said, no matter how much, if I burn one body and I clean it out, there's going to be residue left in the bricks. Like it's rough brick on the bottom. He's like, I can't get that clean no matter how much I sweep. Like there's residue. So even if I clean it as best I can, the next body goes in and I pull those ashes out, there's going to be some commingling of ashes. So he's like, to me, just fucking burn them all together and move on. But he's like, there's commingling already, even if I clean it as best I can. But he's like, that's just where I differ.
He had me sold on the part of it's not really a person there anyways anymore. And he's right to me. So I was the same way. Then I thought if it was my kids or loved one, I'd be a mad son bitch.
Yeah.
You know, if you sent me my dad's ashes, which are right there, and I find out later that that's Cleotis's ashes and not Ron Stanfield's ashes, I might be a little pissed. You know.
Well, you think how people, just over their dog's ashes. You imagine over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the saying about telling a guy on a guy comes here and his dog's terrible. Well, if I tell him his dog isn't very good, he gets mad. But if I say, your wife's ugly and got a fat ass, he don't care.
No, you
but
can't talk about a man's dog.
That's
right.
a whole different level there.
Yeah.
So
you can talk about his kids, wife.
Yeah. But you bring up that dog, and it's a whole different level of hatred.
How long did you practice law for?
Let's see, Andy. I think I got out in '94, and I'm pretty much around the end of 2006. I've done stuff here and there. I still keep my license in Tennessee and Kentucky, but I got into being a landman in 2007.
So do you have to take a bar for Tennessee also if you're going to practice there? How does that work?
So you normally you would you have to take the written portion. You don't, because the multi-state portion is the same in both states. They might have a standard. So if you made high enough to pass Kentucky multi-state, then you can get reciprocity on the Tennessee part. The only part that's different is the written. So you have to take the written in the other state. But what I did is I just I'd been practicing 5 years, and I just got reciprocity. I didn't do that here in Texas. But.
So like a high-profile case, like the OJ case, he had attorneys come in from everywhere to California.
Yes.
Like Dershowitz, I think, was like a Harvard guy, I think, at the time. So how does he go to practice in California?
You can make a motion before the court. I think the Latin term, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but it's pro ad hoc vici. That might be a hillbilly pronunciation. But it's asking permission to practice for that particular case.
I gotcha.
And I've never had to do that, but I think that's the process.
Right. So he's not having to go to California and pass written tests or anything like that. He can ask just for special circumstances, just for this one case.
Yes. And then you can also apply, like now it's weird, like in Texas, I can't apply for reciprocity because you have to, most states require 5 years practice law, and that means continuous practice law. Well, Texas goes so far because they have so many landmen here like me. Being a landman does not constitute practice law. That's in the code of Texas and New Mexico. So you have to take the bar again because I haven't maintained a 40-hour week.
Right.
And it even says that. I think you have to maintain a full-time, 5-day a week, 40-hour per week practice to get reciprocity.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't have any desire to do that.
Can you imagine being like Dershowitz? Well, he must have got paid by LJ to do that. I mean, and he had a lot of people, minions, doing a lot of the work anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and Johnny Cochran, same way. Those guys.
It would be interesting to know what his attorney fees were.
And the Milligans.
F. Lee Bailey.
Or do you do you think that they would do some of it pro bono?
Probably
because of the notoriety that they're going to get.
They got
I think so.
Dershowitz was probably making $500,000 a year at Harvard there anyways, so it wasn't. He didn't care. It just makes him more famous.
F. Lee Bailey. They said he was an asshole and a half.
I've heard that too. I saw something about him. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
maybe a story of some sort.
Well, I think he got in that Darden's guy ear, and to get them to present the glove.
Oh God, this is right up Andy's alley. Andy loves
OJ. But so Marcia Clark and Darden had settled it. We're not even gonna bring up the glove, whatever. And F. Lee Bailey goes up to Darden and he says, "You have the balls of a field mouse if you don't admit that glove into evidence." And he said, "If you don't do it, I will." And sure enough, Darden, I'd like to admit the glove. And we all know how that happened.
Yeah,
but he got in his head.
He did.
And I don't know, if it would be different. Like if the defense makes a motion to make a piece of evidence admissible in court, like if it's different in the jury's eyes, if it's coming from the defense rather than the prosecutor, I don't even know why Darden fell for it.
you know, it's and they did such a great job of, you know, Furman was also put the nails in the coffin, I thought. But no, you know what's crazy, Andy, is I was studying for the bar exam that summer. That's when I graduated from law school. So, I mean, it was perfect timing. But I'm sitting there studying for the bar and watch it come on TV.
Made court TV popular.
Yeah.
Everybody tuned in for that.
Was Robert Kardashian, was that OJ's regular attorney all the time? Like regular business attorney?
Don't get me lying.
Maybe.
Because he was an LA guy and he was kind of known but not known.
Well, I know they got correct. Shapiro first. It was Kardashian and Shapiro, and then they got Cochran afterwards.
Well, that's when they went and got the big boys.
Yeah.
You know, it's always funny, too, to always hear about, well, it's white privilege. No, it's money privilege. And that's another case of money privilege.
Yeah.
P. Diddy, money privilege. You know, he's still in prison, but he's still not where he probably would have been. If you've got money, you can afford people to... And what's funny is people don't realize that in big cities, all those big time attorneys and those judges, they're all running the same circles. It's not like you're dealing with somebody you don't know. They're all buddies and they know each other. They play golf together. Their kids go to school together. That doesn't mean it's not going to be fair. It's just going to say they know each other and have a relationship.
Yeah.
And if you have a relationship, it helps a lot of things.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've practiced in mostly small towns all throughout Eastern Kentucky, and you know, we all knew each other. And I mean, you have to, right? I mean, it's a small town.
And you're around them all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the people you're around. You ever have anybody try to trade you out something for law? What's the weirdest thing you ever had someone try to pay you with?
A shotgun. Well, it wasn't weird, but that was kind of common, I guess. I don't have any. I've got friends that probably have, but me, no, I don't really have anything odd that someone tried to trade me to.
But like small town doctors back in the day, they got traded all kinds of stuff for medical services.
Yeah, my great grandfather had a hardware store in my hometown. It was called Hyden Hardware, and he acquired land that way. People, you know, come in, charge up all these bills, and sometimes they just couldn't pay for it, and people would keep their word, so they'd deed him so many acres of land. And he acquired some land that way. It's interesting.
It says he cost the murder The murder case cost him $5 million.
Can you imagine today's money? What that?
Ooh, about $50,000 a day is what he was paying in attorney fees.
Jeez.
And had that kind of money.
Yeah, had that kind of money
because of Hertz. Because that's where he was making. I think that was his big money. He was the Hertz guy.
Was that? And I knew he had a Hertz, but is that where most of his income came from at that time?
OJ's?
Yeah.
NBC and Hertz.
Okay.
Because he was Hertz's number one guy and he was on football.
Right. He was on NBC.
Hell, I saw where Collinsworth is. I'm assuming he was making $1 million or $2 million a year from NBC probably. I mean, everybody loved OJ.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I saw where Collinsworth just got he's getting $12.5 million a year to be the most irritating guy on TV.
I'm glad someone else besides me
he's terrible. Fuck, he's
that
the worst.
voice, absolutely. It's like running fingernails on chalkboard.
The worst was that liberal fucker that used to be on NBC, and I can't remember what his name was. It was anti-gun and everything.
That made that comment after the shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember his damn name.
Real off-cuff comment, awkward comment, yeah.
That guy, and then Collinsworth's the worst. They just drive me freaking nuts.
Oh.
And I remember when I was a kid, everybody bitched about Howard Cosell.
Yeah.
On Monday Night Football.
Now, wouldn't you love to hear that?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to watch him.
Yeah.
Dandy Don, those guys, we need real people back in. I've always said, and baseball would be the perfect deal for this because baseball's down. Nobody watches baseball. Baseball would be best to get a guy like when Boston and New York play, get a Boston homer and a New York homer, some guys from the Bronx and a guy from the south side of Chicago, Boston, and let them do the commentation. People would laugh just to listen to them talk.
Yeah.
People would pay attention. Nobody wants to see some old stiff talk about doing sports.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, this makes me sound sexist, and I really don't give a shit. I don't like women sports announcers. Now, if I'm watching some carpet munchers play WNBA and they got a woman, I don't care about that. That's fine. But I don't want to see a woman doing football games or listening to them talk about contract negotiations with Mike and stuff. It just don't. I want some guy that's been in the trenches, that's been there. You know, give me an ex-player. He's been there.
Well, I think your idea about local, like a Boston guy, was perfect.
Oh, people would pay attention. People would watch that stuff. Woke stuff don't work, and politically correct don't work. Can you imagine some guy from New York and Boston getting each other's nerves, bitching each other? That would be funny as hell.
And I love to hear somebody talk like that from Boston.
Yes.
It's just so unique to me.
Yeah, but let those guys do it. And when you got L.A. going, get a Dodger and a Giant fan, and they'll bitching about each other and talking about each other's towns and stuff. But that's what people want to watch. That.
Yeah, I agree. They've sped up the game Major League Baseball to try to
Right.
increase ratings. They say it's helping, but I don't know if it's enough.
It's sped up so much and rating so much that I hadn't watched a baseball game, and I got a friend of mine that pitches for the Braves.
Yeah.
And I've watched him pitch 2 innings this year, and I love him to death. I just cannot watch baseball. But to be truth, every baseball player I know don't watch baseball.
It's hard to watch on TV.
Girls softball I enjoy. The NCAA softball is excellent.
I watched some of that this year. I watched that from time to time. Well, girls softball, believe it or not, my hometown in the middle of nowhere was really popular.
It's a great sport.
Yeah.
When you watch it, like when OU plays, which
Yeah.
because everybody's an OU person. I'm a Texas guy, so but when they have the World Series, College World Series there, them gals, that's a good sport, and it's an exciting sport.
It is exciting watching them pitch.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So with your landman job now, do you basically, are you just looking at contracts?
Thank God, no.
No.
But I mean, that is part of it. But I do oil and gas, but I also do renewable energy stuff. So, I'm probably going to get hate mail. But wind turbines, solar, and all that. Luckily, in that renewable energy sector, they don't want us touching anything. We do negotiations, get the deal, then the attorneys take over and talk back and forth. Whereas in oil and gas, most of the stuff I do in Midland is you do a little bit of negotiation. I review contracts, but the good thing is on the renewable sector, I don't touch anything. I don't have to review anything, and I like that.
Right.
I don't want to read a 40-page lease.
Wind energy prices are down for the leasee compared to what they were 20 years ago, aren't they?
It's I don't know what they were 20 years ago because honestly, Jeff, I've only done renewable stuff about 2 years to 3. All my experience has been oil and gas.
What's a stick cost? Like when they first started out here, the very first ones I knew about, I think that people were getting about $18,000 a year per windmill. And that doesn't count damage to your land. That doesn't count if they have to put a transmission line on you or nothing. Just the stick was about $18,000 per year.
That's right. Now it's around, on the average, I'd say around 24,000.
So it's went up then.
It's went up, and it's based on megawatt. And these new towers that they have now, they're more megawatt. They're taller, longer blades. They're supposed to be quieter, and they're supposed to last longer. So at least that's what I tell landowners.
Okay, in 20 years, I've got a land and I put a windmill on there in 20 years. In 20 years, it falls to shit. Is the wind company going to come remove that thing, or am I stuck with it?
There is the lease. They have to produce a bond, post a bond, right? So they have to post an insurance company that has to be reviewed every 5 years in case, let's just say, most of these leases that I do are 30-year leases that I deal with. So, you bond it for reclamation costs and stuff like that in case something happens. It's basically an insurance policy for the turbine if it goes south. The bond will be, based on a rate that they project for in 30 years it will cost to repair. But every 5 years they'll have a bond renewal process to see if that's still enough to cover what they think it will be at the end of the lease. So to answer that question, yes. And I think Texas probably has their own codes and stuff that enforce that. But again, if you ask me oil and gas questions, I know a lot more. All I do in this renewable stuff is just get the deal started, get them to agree to terms verbally, and then I shift the paperwork to the legal people.
Just on average, if you've got 100 acres and they're going to put a turbine and they're going to put 2 wind turbines on you, how much money are they going to pay you per land, and what kind of money are you going to see a year? $48,000 a year for those 2, and that's about it?
You could see every area is different. Like if you're working up in northern Illinois in really expensive farm country where it's high dollar agriculture land, it's going to pay better there than it might pay in, say, a Van Horn. So you're going to get around, on average, like I said, it's going to vary depending on the area, but say $40 an acre per acre for your land, for all your land, and then you get paid per turbine. These new big turbines, the spacing requirements on them, in the most perfect of circumstances, is around 40 acres. But being more realistic, it's about 100-acre spacing. And that has to be, all the conditions are right. The elevation, there's not a lot of construction work needed.
So your 100 acres, you're going to get $28,000 a year off of.
That's probably about the norm, yes.
That's not nothing like solar is. That's where the money's at.
Yep, and yes, and I do solar too. The thing about solar, is it takes your land out of production. Like if you're grazing the
forever.
Stuff. Yep. So some people, it's really odd though. Like I'm working an area now in far west Texas, and Some people would rather have solar. I guess they don't want to look at the wind turbines. But and then a lot of people, like in Illinois, when I did a project up there, no one wanted solar hardly because of agriculture.
But didn't solar pay like $3,000 to $6,000 an acre?
It might be a little more. Don't be honest. All I've ever done in solar is when the project's over and I did some curative work. So I've never went out and leased solar.
Somebody told me that it was $3,000 an acre, and someone said in Arkansas they were getting $6,000 an acre. If you got 100 acres of land, you get $6,000 an acre every year.
Yes.
Dude, I'd be all over that shit in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and I'd say if it's in production, that sounds about right. But I just hate to quote you there because I haven't been on the front end.
But
of
if it's
that.
$3,000 an acre, what are you going to grow outside of cocaine? You're going to make $3,000 an acre on profit.
I know it's hard. It's hard to make $150, $200 an acre in crops.
$3,000 an acre.
Yeah.
And you can't blame me. A guy called me from Stuttgart, and they were putting in some solar somewhere close to them. He goes, "Man, this is good duck land." Blah blah. Well, I'm telling you right now, there ain't nobody giving you $600,000 for 100 acres of damn duck land.
Yeah.
So I'd jump all over that and take that $600,000 and buy you another farm somewhere and make you a hell of a duck spot if you want to.
You see that a lot out here. Like we do in West Texas. Obviously, you guys know that you're West Texans too, but we take a lot of cotton land out of production for oil wells, but that oil money is a lot better than cotton money.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never heard anybody say, "God damn, I wish I'd get rid of these oil wells and plant me some cotton out there."
Yeah.
Yeah. I know one thing. You can make $1 million planting cotton, and you can spend $2 million to make $1 million. So cotton you can go broke pretty fast.
And the equipment is so expensive.
Yeah, I don't understand how the guys are made. I know a lot of cotton farmers have gotten away from cotton, but I know a lot of people. I don't like the windmills. I think they're ugly. Now, I don't think I have the right to tell my neighbor he can't put windmills on his place. I don't know how you can do that.
Well, when people tell me when I'm knocking on a door, talk to a rancher, landowner, farmer, whatever, and they say, "Man, we hate the looks of them things." I mean, I'm not going to sit there and argue with them because that's their right? That's their land. And some landmen might be pushy. That's just not my nature.
Yeah, if you don't want it done, I don't blame, but I'm not going to tell my neighbor that he can't put windmills on. It's his property. He can do what he wants. Because could you imagine if your neighbor come up to you and said, "Well, goddamn, you don't need to be putting them pump jacks on there. Who needs more of those?"
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody complain because your neighbor's putting pump jacks on his place. I'm sure probably somebody has. I had a guy about 20 years ago on a dove hunt complain because we hunted by a place that had a pump jack and he had to listen to it while he was dove hunting. I'd never in my life heard anybody come. He called me. He's like, "We're just really disappointed." I said, "Y'all killed a bunch of dove. Y'all shot limits." "Yeah, but just, you go out to hunt with your kids and neighbors and you don't want to have to listen to a pump jack going up and down. It's just really, it's just not really nice." I'm thinking, I've heard a lot of people bitch about stuff, but I've never heard anybody bitch because somebody's oil well was making noise.
Well, they're ran on electric. They're not that loud.
No, but he just it took away his experience with his children of being out with Mother Nature, killing it.
Well, you got my first. So I came from Eastern Kentucky out here 13 years ago. So you can imagine, I grew up right by the Middle Fork River. First of all, so water, and had giant trees on it, in the mountains. But anyway, I'll never forget. Left the airport in Midland, was driving towards Midland, and when you come into town there and get on the loop, there's a Mercedes dealership and BMW dealership. And right in the middle of them, it's not there now, but it was there for a long time. So I'd take pictures and show people, or if they were coming to town to visit, it was a pump jack in the parking lot working. I was like, only in Midland, Texas, is there a working oil well in the Mercedes car dealership parking lot.
That used to have a Lamborghini dealership there too, didn't they?
Wow. I was told that. That was before my time.
I think it was the smallest town in the world that had a Lamborghini. A lot of money in Midland, Texas.
A lot of money. It's, you come from Hyden, Kentucky, where I'm from, and, I remember them giving out commodity cheese when I was little. And then you go to Midland, it's a culture shock.
Yeah, there's a lot of poor people there too, but there's a lot of wealthy people. I saw a map the other day, and someone was talking about how, well, the blue controls the whole entire state of Texas. That's where all the money is, and blah blah blah. And I said, no, you want to see where the money is in Texas? You go take that red area out around Midland, Texas. That's where the money is in Texas. I don't know what kind of money anywhere in the United States that's got land that's worth more than what's around Midland, Texas.
Oh yeah, I remember one of these renewable companies wanted me to go out there and buy a property for storage battery locations. They set these next to a substation, and they said, we won't just try to lease it first. I went, or they wanted to buy the land, not lease it. That's what I was trying to say. I was like, you won't buy anything from them unless you pay millions per acre. You might lease it, and it won't be cheap, but they give up on the project.
Yeah, I mean, you
I was
just
like,
it's most expensive, and people look at there's nothing there. Yeah, it's got gold underneath it.
You know, and then in the oil field, water's a lot of money.
Yes.
Fresh water. You know, I don't know what the going rate is today because I haven't negotiated the deal, but you know, you figured $6-7 a barrel or 50 cents a barrel, and you're doing millions of barrels to frack a well. It's big money for a surface owner. So you can be on a ranch in Midland, not have the mineral rights, and still make really good money because the oil well, they want to buy your fresh water when they're drilling. They need to take the salt water, so they want to inject it in the ground. They're going to pay you per barrel to inject it back in the ground. So you've got lots of ways to make money just being a surface owner. So it's a different world.
I think Landman has really opened up people's eyes to a degree. Some really good and some really bad.
Yeah.
Because I had one guy ask me. We were in Puerto Vallarta, and the guy's like, the cartels take on the oil companies like that? I was like, no, that's not going to happen. First time a cartel goes blowing up a damn oil well in Texas, that'll be the end of the cartel. Yeah. You think they got Trump pissed off at them now? You start blowing up an oil well, and there'll be a lot of problems.
I've never had. Yeah, I get asked that question a lot.
Yeah,
you can imagine.
that's not happening.
Like, no, luckily I've never.
But the lifestyle of him going to the bar and stuff all day long, that's a normal
Landman,
thing. That's a normal thing out there.
You know, Landman get a bad rep. They worked about 2 o'clock or about 10 o'clock on Friday if they work on Friday. And I'm not one of those. I actually am a worker.
But is Billy Bob Thornton really a landman? He's more of a general manager of an oil company.
Exactly. That's well put, Jeff. I'm glad you said that. So yeah, in that show, he's playing something. No landman. I've never been in charge of calling in rigs and equipment. I mean, I'm not qualified. First of all,
no, he's a general manager for a big oil company.
Yeah.
He is basically running a independent oil company.
Independent, that's right.
And when you say independent company, you're talking about $1 billion operation.
Yes.
But that's what he is doing.
Yeah, and a land guy, like say your head land guy, you may just have one at a small independent like that. And they might be involved in more than typical land duties, but still, that's blown up a lot.
His son is a landman.
That's right.
In that show. Have you watched the rest of it? That is a great series.
It is.
You know the guy that plays Demi Moore's husband on that? Did you watch that new show with him called Friends and Neighbors?
No, but I've seen him in movies and stuff.
He's on a show called Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV, I think, where he is a what's it called where they got all the hedge fund manager or a venture capitalist type guy, and he gets screwed over and he gets fired from his job for having sex with a girl that worked there, but not under him. It just they hosed him on this deal. But what he did was he was in this special rich neighborhood. I don't know if they're in Manhattan or where they're outside in the country, and he starts robbing from his neighbors and selling shit. Like they'll go to a party somewhere, and he'll go upstairs, go through their bedrooms, and they'll have these $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 watches, and they'll have a whole tray of them, and he'll take one of this, and they won't even notice it's gone. And he started fencing it and stuff, but it's called Friends and Neighbors. But it is a really cool show.
I've seen it.
But it's got a lot of cool artwork. They steal artwork and stuff. But he'll know that they're having a fundraiser at the country club and everybody's going to be there. And then while they're gone, he'll break in. Then he'll show up show up late, and nobody. And a lot of these people will never even know that their shit's been stolen. And then they blame it on the housekeeper if they do notice it later. But it's called Friends and Neighbors, but it's the same guy that plays Demi Moore's husband.
Yeah, he was in The Town. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Mad Men.
Yeah.
That is a guy from Mad Men. I just never thought that's a good show too.
Yeah, I forgot he was in that.
When men weren't afraid to be men, and it wasn't a bunch of woke ass pussies in the world, is what Mad Men would be. So now you've got do you think that's bad? You just kind of looked up, so go ahead, Mr. Politically Correct.
No, you covered it.
You don't think that would have been a good time to be alive as a man?
I think all those guys that come back from the war, so I think they were battling a lot of demons. I think it was set in the 50s, so.
So you're blaming it on the war now?
No. Okay. I'm just saying that my life today or post-World War II, I don't know.
Well, I would much rather be today than post-World War II. There's no doubt about it. Do you? So you've got a podcast.
Yes, sir.
The Gundog podcast.
Yes.
Is it Gundog Outdoors podcast?
Gundog Nation.
Gundog Nation podcast. And how long have you been doing this?
It's 26 this month to be a year.
A year. What made you decide you want to get in the podcast world?
I've done some radio and stuff. Back in the day, I had a radio show, a bluegrass music radio show in Hazard, Kentucky. Then when I was a little kid, my mom managed a small station, and I had a little radio show when I was in middle school for a while. But anyway, I drive all the time because of my land work, and I'm always driving, or I'm driving to train dogs every weekend, 3 hours here, 3 hours there. And so I'm always listening to podcasts. And then I know, when I get on the phone with one of my dog guys, whether it's in Wisconsin or West Virginia or wherever, I realize, which I'm a talker, that I'm on the phone for an hour and a half later. I was like, man, I was on the phone for an hour and a half talking about beagles or whatever, labs. And I was just driving in the road and it hit me. I was like, man, I'd love to do that. I'd do something I love. And there was like a million retriever podcasts, right? I listened to them, still do. And I thought, I want to do something different because I'm different. I'm not just a retriever guy. I grew up with beagle hounds, running, rabbit dogs, and I had squirrel dogs, and I've done some coon hunting, but never hardcore. I've done protection dogs. I train protection dogs and still do that some. And I've trained dogs for shed hunting, blood tracking, and now I'm getting into advanced like retriever training for waterfowl. So I know a lot about a lot of dogs, and I wanted to do something broader. So I thought, how can I do this? And I started trying to figure out a purpose, to have a theme. And with my background and knowledge, and I wanted to have people on there that was smarter than me about dogs, even though I'm full of dogs since I could walk and talk, because my grandpa could train a dog and a horse to do anything. And I grew up next door to him watching that. So I wanted to create a podcast to have a community of people that want to talk about dogs and dog training, but to preserve our heritage, because I get a lot of dogs out of the United Kingdom, and I've got friends in Europe, and I've gotten dogs out of Europe before too, still do that. And you see that it's getting so, the politics over there is changing. Even the way they have hunt tests, you can't use live birds, can't shoot birds, even in a hunt test, and that can happen here. You all know that. I mean, you talk about it daily about the politics and what's going on here. And I thought, that could happen here, and we need to preserve our heritage. I mean, man has been hunting with dogs since they've domesticated dogs, and they're used as a tool. Now there's a movement. Now, back in the day when Jeff and I was young, hunting dog was a tool, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't a pet. It was out back, most of the time chained, and you throw it in a truck and go drop tailgate and hunt, bring it back, chain it back up. Nowadays that's not so much the case. But anyway, that's what the podcast is about. And I just came back. I'm trying to promote it in every hunting dog arena I can. That's why, I met you, Jeff, at Delta Waterfowl. I was there talking to retriever guys, but then I'll go to Pheasant Fest and talk to upland dog guys. And this weekend, for the first time, I went to one of the national championships for coon dogs in Indiana.
That would be interesting.
It was something. Listen, that's it. And so now I'm trying to merge the two together, because here's what's interesting for anybody out there listening that likes hunting dogs. The guys that compete with coon dogs win money. In retrievers, we spend a lot of money, a lot of training. We win ribbons.
Yeah.
They win trucks or guns or lots of cash. And I was like, we need to figure that out here.
How much does because that kind of surprises me, because to me, the demographics, when you get to the serious field trial dogs, retriever trials, you're talking about guys that are in the, the $1 million a year range making money. They're spending a ton of money on this. It's kind of like the show pig businesses in Texas with high school kids. You can say what you want to, but it ain't about the kids. It's about the dads. And there's guys who can drop $200,000-$300,000 for a show pig, time they spend all the money to get a ribbon. Now, at least in San Antonio, if a kid wins that, he gets the money back, which could be $100,000 if he wins the grand prize. But in Houston, if you win it, 85% of the money goes to the Section 8 kids, and then the kid who gets it gets 20% of the money, which is bullshit to me. Yeah. But when you go to coon dogs, I was expecting Billy Bob there that's living on no money at all, and I'm assuming I'm wrong on that. There's a lot of money in the coon dog world.
Yeah, so there's a podcast out called The Dog House with Adam Campbell. You probably met Adam at Ducks Unlimited and stuff. Adam Campbell and Jimmy Rogers, they're hilarious. Jimmy's from Kentucky. Adam's from Alabama, Tuscaloosa. And their podcast is great. They're great dog trainers too. Anyway, Jimmy and I were talking on the phone. He's like, yeah, and we were discussing this very topic. How come we're spending all this money and not making a dime, and these coon dog guys are racking in, so are the squirrel dog guys. And so he's like, yeah, I was at one of my friends seen my I think a $50-some thousand dog trailer, one of those Ainsley deerskin dog trailers. Some of them are $90,000, $80,000, $90,000. You'll wait a year to get one built. and then you're driving a diesel truck, maybe $110,000. And his coon dog guy who goes to competition says, realize he's almost got a $180,000 plus rig pulling all these dogs. And the coon dog guy asks him, man, what do you win? Oh, we get a ribbon. We get a ribbon. And that guy went, yeah, right. Surely you ain't spending all that money for ribbons. He's like, yeah. He's like, I just won $15,000. And that's a fact. I watched 15. The event I went to, there was a winner every night. And the first, second, third place winners were winning cash. I think second place, my buddy from my hometown got second place on Friday night. He was $3,500.
But what's it cost to enter?
That's the thing. And it's entry fees.
How much is it?
Usually, sometimes some of them $1,000, $500, somewhere in that range. But then you're getting a chance to win, $15,000, $25,000. And here's the thing, Jeff, it's sponsored by UKC. These are UKC sync. Now, Coon Dog guys got smart. Now they have a PKC, which is a big purse. It's another association that you can win in, UKC, AKC. But the UKC, this event I was at this weekend was a UKC sanctioned event. What? They do that in Retriever World. We just get ribbons. So I just did a podcast. It's not released yet with the head of the UKC Coon Dog division, who works next to a desk right beside the Retriever guy. And I was like, hey, I want to do a podcast. You got to explain to me how we can bring this to the Retriever world, because we spend a lot of money, put a lot of time. We don't win anything, and maybe this would help get more interest in the sport. But you're right, Jeff. It is a different demographic. The Retriever people, if you send your dog to a pro trainer, and I'm sure you know lots of them and have a lot of clients yourself here, minimum you're going to spend $1,000 a month for that pro trainer. Well, if you want your guy to take your dog to the field trial level or SRC, the Super Retriever Series, they may have that dog 3 years minimum.
Sometimes them people never take them dogs home.
That's right.
It's like owning a racehorse.
It's exactly right. And they just want the ribbons on the wall and brag to their buddies. And sometimes you'll come and get them for duck season. And as soon as it's over, they send them back. And that's fine. Hey, I'm not against that. It's free country. You can do what you want to, and I'm all for it. And I'm for these trainers that make money. But I know kennels, good kennels that have 80 dogs, they're bringing $80,000 a month. But you got to be somebody who can pay that kind of money to those guys. And there's lots of those kennels.
Yeah, there's the big money in that, and it's I was fortunate growing up. I got to hunt with some national field champions and a bunch of field champions, the top-notch field trial dogs in the world, because there's a lot of them around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah. My dad's was friends with those guys. They hunted with him, so I got to be around a lot of that stuff. But when I think of coon dogs, I think of an old boy wearing some. I think of? I think of Jerry Clower.
Yeah,
and Uncle First.
I love Jerry Clower. Oh, me too. My favorite comedian of all.
And when he talks about, did you see the one where he tells a story about the guy having the monkey?
I've heard it
for coon dog, and you ain't putting that hairy thing around my dog. And that coon dog, and the guy just shot the guy's dog. And it's a great Jerry Clower's a great. But anyways, he's so good, but he talks about coon hunting all the time.
Yeah.
There wasn't, was his dog Cannonball or
he had Highball and Brummy.
Brummy. Yeah. Ain't not a finer dog in the world, no Highball. Yeah. But anyways, I like listening. But that's the persona that comes as a bunch of redneck guys or a bunch of hillbillies. So are these hillbillies with their own dogs or training that are at these coons?
I got to be careful there because that's my world. But yeah, I mean, it is a lot of
just regular guys.
It's regular old guys, and now you're seeing a lot of ladies in it. There's you see ladies in retriever world too that are very competitive. But I was there this weekend. Now it's funny; they're all country guys, but they might have different accents. There's some guys there from Indiana and Illinois. They're hardcore coon hunters. They dress like the guys from Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, but they have different accents. But same lifestyle, just different accents. But that's when you go to a coon dog competition, you're going to see a different. And I can say this because I am one, right? I'm a hillbilly. I'm proud of it, but it's a different.
They're not pulling up in $110,000 pickups with $100,000 trailers.
There are some of those, but not the trailers. You just see a dog box through a couple dog boxes.
What? Now, coon hunting, my dad grew up coon hunting in Kansas, and he would talk about it a lot. And he said it was great because at that time, you could go across John's land and Bill's land and Bob's land. They didn't give a shit. Nowadays, with deer hunting leases the way it is, Texas is going to be hard to be a coon hunting place because unless you're on a big ranch, you're going to be trespassing. You can't do it. Kind of the guys with the hog dogs.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's all public land where they hunting. So how do these contests, do they have a timer on who catches the biggest coon or who trees a coon first? How does that work on a coon trial?
They'll, like this big one event where there's a lot of entries, I'm not sure the total number, but they'll have, they call it a cast. So they'll send 4 dogs with a judge or a guide here, and then they'll send out about 4 of those. Then the winner of each of those will go on to the next day, and then the third day until they have a champion. They'll hunt wild coons, and it was on private land. It's pre-set up, but they're not pin coons or anything like that. They're literally really hunting. At least the one at Autumn Oaks, Indiana.
Does the biggest coon win?
It's not the biggest coon. It's all time who dog at trees first gets the first dog on the tree gets the most points, and the second and the third. Now, I'm not an expert on all these trial rules, but that's the gist of it.
I wondered how they would judge it. Like a field trial dog is a dog runs the straightest line, no whistles, no, don't pop, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Where on a coon dog deal, it's whoever trees the coon first.
Yeah, and it's a little more complex than that. That's just my elementary definition of it, but that's basically what they're doing. So they need a dog that's fast, a dog that's actually on a coon and not treeing an old track or something like that is important. I'm learning more about it. Like I said, I had never competed with coon dogs. I've competed with retrievers, and
this is their trial time is in the summer.
Yeah, well, they'll start now, but they'll run them. I don't know if they run year round or not. Like hunt test is kind of seasonal. Like Texas hunt tests are in the spring because it's cooler early, like February, March.
And then the Dakotas, and then they'll call it the mountain states and upstate New York and stuff. And Minnesota right now they're running trials.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy. That coon dog thing really interests me. That's something I've never done, and I always thought it would be pretty cool. But I don't like the dark that much. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm scared of the dark. Here's some. I'm not scared, but I got a lot of respect for the dark.
Yeah,
and I don't like to be somewhere where I can't see.
Well, the one thing I've noticed, like this weekend, they're always, every hunting industry, every year they got to upgrade. So these new lights they have, when I did it back in the day, we had coal miners, battery lights, wheat lights, we called them, that was on a helmet, just like a coal miner used. Well, now they still have a light like that, but it's LED. I seen one this weekend. You could light up a stage of a concert, it's crazy. And they stay charged longer. Lithium battery ones.
They don't mess the dogs up though.
They can use red. Like if they're on it, they'll turn it to red so the coon and dogs, it doesn't shine on them. They can't see that. I'm told. And they don't run the light. They'll run the dogs go out first, and then they'll have lights so they can see where they're walking to get to it. And then a lot of times they get the tree, they'll switch it to red and look up but see now these coon hunters have. Well, I was right there sitting with a guy from the town next to me in Kentucky. I sat at his booth the whole weekend, and he's got a night vision. I mean, they use night vision now, so you're talking 2,000 and 3,000.
The poaching and everything rules.
Yeah.
I wonder what happens when they get a skunk.
Them dogs will do that. That's the worst. I'm sure you've been around a dog. It's got
we had a lab that would get hacksaw would get the hell out of a skunk, and my dad would shock him and beat him, and Dad said, "Shit, I think some bitch thinks I'm not getting him fast enough."
Yeah,
because it didn't matter what he did; it seemed like he'd get him faster.
Oh, that's the worst, isn't it? I mean, oh my gosh, it just has to wear off. You can spray and wash and try all the little home remedies, but it has to wear off.
Would you be interested in coon hunting, Andy? That's fun.
Oh, probably not.
That doesn't excite you at all.
I tell you what, though, I will say this: those dogs are athletes.
Oh yeah,
I mean, pure. You think our retrievers are athletes, obviously, and man, I was holding one on a leash this weekend, and that's all I could do to hold that dog. And I hold, protection dogs in training, but they're strong, very athletic.
That's the big money dog.
Yeah,
the protection dogs.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, like, whenever you think of like a coon dog, you think of like this, big droopy ears. You kind of think of them as like dumb. You know what I mean? Just because they kind of look like goofy, but I guess they're athletes. I've never been around any coon dogs, so I don't know. I'm stereotyping now just because you see this big goofy looking dog.
It's kind of I mean, that's not being an outsider looking in. I can see that being the case, but they're pretty smart. But they are bred for a purpose, right? They're bred for a nose,
Right.
and high prey drive, and those same type of dogs is what you're seeing now for mountain lions and bears too. You know, to track those. And
them dogs that get after the mountain lions.
Yeah.
Them crazy, and they'll crawl up on them limbs. Them dogs are. And that cat ever wouldn't know he could just whip that dog's ass. He could do it in a heartbeat.
You're right. If you ever figured it out,
Yeah, it'd be over fast.
And all those dogs are coon hounds. Some of them are coon hound. You know, they'll cross different lines of coon hounds, but you'll see walkers, plot hounds, red bones. You'll see all those coon hound dogs are what you're seeing on TV for these bear and mountain lion tracking.
My dad owned a bloodhound for a day. He was a guy that he was a fireman with had a bloodhound, a female, and my dad went and sold a dog to somebody at DFW or something and took a puppy down there somewhere, and they had this big old bloodhound.
Yeah.
And that dad, that's a good looking dog right there. He said, yeah, I got to find it. We'd moved to the city and it was barking at night and shit. And he said, I got to get rid of it. Dad said, well, what do you want for it? He said, hell, if someone to take it off of it. Dad said, hell, I'll take it with me. And Dad tried to put him in a kennel on his truck, and that damn dog wouldn't fit, so he had to ride in the front seat with Dad to Wichita Falls. And Dad come home with it, and I was like, that's cool as hell. He goes, goddamn, I hope it was this fireman buddy. He goes, I sure hope he wants another one. He goes, I thought of him when I did it to breed him. And so Dad ended up, the guy wanted it. I go, what are you going to do if not? He goes, I guess I'm going to learn me about having a big old bloodhound. But I bet that
They're
dog weighed
huge,
120 pounds.
And you talk about
huge.
They're strong too, like crazy strong. But they're hard to train. They're stubborn. You know, they got long ears for a reason. They don't want to hear anything and to stir up scent when their nose is down.
That's what the ears are for?
Yeah.
That's what what's the dog we had when you were little? The
Basset hound.
Same with the basset hounds. That's what they do. Their
and
ears.
I think they're just a nick down bloodhound. You know,
Right.
like you
Yeah.
300 blackouts, a nick down 223 or something. But I think they're a nick down bloodhound.
But what do they use the bloodhounds for besides chasing people?
You know, some people probably still use them to track, and they may still do some bear and mountain lion tracking because they're great at tracking. But I've got one friend that I met on social media several years ago, and he uses them on border patrol. But still, it's man tracking, right?
But that's what they're more for.
Yeah.
Prison breaks and stuff. Oh, red.
Yeah, and you don't see them. At least I don't see them in the hunting woods that much. Just man tracking.
Beverly Hillbillies had one.
Yeah.
And some guy in Hee Haw had one. And
Yeah, and that may be one because that's mine and your childhood,
those are
right?
cool dogs.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
just
coolest looking. Yeah.
Are they good family dogs?
They're not bad family dogs. They're hard to train obedience. They're just stubborn, and they're they're kind of bred for a purpose to track.
Yeah.
So they're real hard to train obedience, and if they get on, most dogs like that, if they get on a track, they're gone. Mm-hmm. And if you ain't got a line on them,
Right.
they're gone. You can scream, holler, they don't care. That's what they're going to do.
Can't be genetics.
Yeah. And so that being said, I think that's what makes them hard to train.
Kind of stubborn in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Have you seen the guy that's training the cancer dog with the little ball and he throws it in the creek?
No.
I saw this the other day, a video of it. It's fascinating. I wish I don't know how to save stuff on my phone, but I need to figure out how to do it. Anyways, this guy he trains a cancer dog to smell cancer. And it was a little shit dog of some kind. I don't know. It wasn't a poodle. It wasn't I don't know what it was. It was some kind of terrier or some deal. But he had some kind of cancer that was in a ball, and he would throw it in a creek. Like the dog went in there and he'd throw it in the creek and would take a picture where it was at. And this dog would go down there and smell and get that water and would put its paw on it and look up at him. Wow. And could smell that cancer in that deal. And then I started thinking, well, what if the dog's just smelling the ball or whatever they're doing? But they say that's how he's trying to smell cancer.
They do. So they use diabetic detection dogs. They can detect if your blood sugar's low. They'll alert you. Epileptic dog, epileptic seizures. If you're getting ready to have a seizure, your dog can alert you. It's amazing what they can try. And cancer is another thing too. It's amazing what they can do.
And that's what pisses me off when I see these people that have these service dogs. It's not a service dog. That wears me the hell out. You see these ladies at the casino walk around with a little Fifi. That dog ain't a damn service dog. Somebody can't just stay home by itself. Or you don't want to have to go home in 4 hours and go let him out and go to the bathroom, so you take him to the casino with you.
Yeah.
Emotional support, Jeff.
Bullshit. Get a fucking husband or a friend. Payne, was it Payne on the flight with the guy who had the peacock? Somebody was on a plane and they got a fucking peacock, an emotional support bird. You need friends, buddies. What you need. Yeah. That's your problem.
Hey, those things are mean.
Yeah.
I don't mess with no
You
peacock.
imagine being on a plane and the fucking peacock's on the plane with you? Hell no.
They're huge.
Yeah. Payne Payne did fly on a flight back with a guy that was coming home, and he had what are the dogs like German Shepherds? Little
Belgian Malinois. Yeah, I had those.
Okay, and Payne said this one had one, and it just crawled up under a seat at the plane. Just never, and you're not supposed to pet them; they're a service dog. But that's a working dog. Yeah. A peacock. I've never heard of a working peacock ever in my life.
No, I think I heard that story or something like that.
Yeah, and a guy had a little one of them little horses, miniature horses, going through the airport with a fucking miniature horse. I mean, Jesus, put a 747, put a Clydesdale on there too. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna discriminate against a big horse?
Now, Belgian Malinois, can you make them into? Now, obviously, they also have a purpose, but do they make good family dogs, or are they there just for
That's a really good question,
eat that
Andy.
ass?
Here's my opinion, and I raised them for quite a while. They're a lot of dog,
Right.
and they're highly intelligent, very trainable. But, there's stories of them being great family dogs and great with children. But I also personally know of a dog that tried to bite a small child that was raised around kids and socialized as much as any dog. So they're just a lot of dog. And people that buy one need to know that and get into some really good obedience program first. Because there a lot of those a dog like that has such a strong personality and strong drive, you've got to get that manageable at an early age,
Right.
or it could be a problem,
Right.
in lots of different areas.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, what do most people do, like, that have Belgian Malinois? Do they bring them out at night for protection, or how do they manage everything?
There's some of these now. There's guys that train these dogs and sell them for lots of money for corporate protection and for
Right.
wealthy people. But the main thing about owning one is they've got to have exercise or a job. It's not like a poodle or something, a small dog or a lap dog. These dogs need to work. They need a job. Either you're a jogger and you run, or you take it to agility trainer, or you get out and throw a frisbee with it. But it really needs daily interaction to be manageable.
Right.
And but a well-trained one for protection purposes should know, should be able to take that dog and walk it into Lowe's or Tractor Supply, and it'd be fine. People, pet it if they want to. Then it should kind of know if there's a real threat, the difference.
So how do you train that? Is it all like, are they waiting for voice command to switch that on, or are they waiting for aggression from somebody coming up? Like, how does that work?
They normally wait for a voice command.
Okay.
And then, but, a well-trained dog that you've had for a long time and you know it real well should know the difference if there's a real perceived threat.
Right.
And know when to act.
Right.
But it takes a lot of training and knowing that dog.
That's the hard part, is you got to train people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's like that. We've even said that about like labs and everything. Like, it's a team sport, and you got to train the trainer. You got to train the owner just as much as you got to train the dog sometimes.
You're exactly right. That, to me, that's one of the most important things at all about pro trainers are great. And I use pro trainers too, even though I can train. There's guys better than me, but you got it. And I'm guilty. Like, I'll tell you something I've done. Like, I got a hunting dog back, admitted a trainer, hunting season. I'm just letting him run and go and get whatever retriever he wants to, and letting him break, which means go before I send him on ducks. I messed that dog up. I had to go tune him up and have him So training the trainer is really important. Training the owner is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dad used to bitch about that all the time. And there's certain dogs out there that anybody can run. I've been around some great dogs that you could get an old lady that don't know a damn thing, and she could run your dog and it works good.
Yes.
And then there's some damn good dogs out there that you better be a firm hand and a good trainer, because that dog is going to play you.
That's exactly right. I got a male dog right now. He's real high drive. Great dog. If I haven't worked him in 4 or 5 days, he's going to test me when I'm working him, and he'll just do it. And I've had some female dogs like that too. It's like, man, you all know better than this, but they're just like, we'll see how much they can get away with. So yeah, Andy, that's to me, that's one of the most important things of dog ownership. And another thing too, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm not saying I'm Mr. Perfect, 'cause God knows I'm not, but you've got to be consistent.
Right.
Like if you're telling your dog one day not to get on the couch and he gets on the couch the next day, you don't say anything. Well, they don't know what to do or
He's gonna
what's
get on
right.
the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And small commands, not big, long.
It's
Yes,
funny
yes.
because I've got Roy and he's 5 months and a little bit, but like when it's just me and him working, a lot better than when it's kid, wife. Like they can just even be on the porch, and I tell them like, listen, y'all need to shut up and sit there. But just them being there, he's like, oh, fuck off. I'll take this and I'll run around him as much. But if it's just me and him, everything goes pretty good. He's pretty, like you said, he knows what to do and everything else. And then we'll have a couple good training sessions, and I'll want to kind of peacock a little bit. And like, well, look at what Roy can do. That is the worst thing. When those kids get out there and the wife gets out there, he looks like he's just an idiot in left field running around.
Are you going to bird hunt him here pretty quick? Would you go dove hunt him tonight if you would hit football? No dove hunting this year with him at all.
No, I haven't even introduced a gun to him yet.
Okay.
How old is he now?
He turned 5 months on the 23rd of August.
Well, he's got some go. Woo.
Is it a lab? Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Where'd you get it?
I got it from a guy in Arkansas, Greenbrier, Arkansas.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm sure he's a duck dog, ain't he?
yeah, he comes from a good bloodline, and he's got a lot of go. He's great in the house too. Like he's the kind of dog like he'll grab his chew toy and he'll sit next to you and lay down and just be happy with his chew toy for a while. Doesn't last very long because things happen and he's off to the next thing. But he's more chill than my first dog. Like we can actually pet him. The first dog that I had, like if you petted him or anything like that, he's just on you. And Roy is more like, I'll sit back here and let you pet me. I don't have to be.
Your first dog was
you.
he was the Gronk dog. I mean, he was a big athletic. When he at 11 years old, he had the same drive he had when he was 6 months old. He was a very rare dog, but he had he could have been a field champion dog. He was a great dog, but he had so much desire and drive. Just very rare because when he got older, you kept thinking he's going to get where he chills out around the house, and he didn't. I mean, if I'd go over and air him, he was just he would jump backwards a lot. But when I opened that door, it was just like like a little kid all the time. And an older dog will get where they'll just kind of look up at you. He never ever Lou never had any of that at all, and he's a rare dog.
Yeah,
and he was not one that everybody was going to run. Thunder Andy's got a dog, Thunder, that one of my dad's best friend's dog, and Thunder's 10 years old now. That dog can come up here. He'll come up and live with Andy for 3 months and hunt during the deal and never miss him. Matter of fact, he probably works better for Andy than he does Steve. But anybody can run him that can run a dog. He's a very easy going. I don't think Lou everybody could have ran Lou.
He'd have ran over some people.
I mean, he'd take advantage of you.
And do you guide here?
I do.
Every day.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You running dogs every day?
Yep, I have. So I got Lou. I got married in 2011. So I started running a dog in 2012.
Okay.
Yep. So since 2012, I've had a dog every day.
Always a lab?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Always been a black lab so far.
Nice.
So
the only dog we've ever had up here other than a lab is we've had a couple of pointers.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple of Draughthaus. And those are nice dogs.
Yeah, they're neat. And, I got a buddy in North Carolina that just took one. It's got a grand pass. And if he gets another grand pass in September in Nashville, which is the grand of the last one of the year, that's only 23% pass rate. It'll be titled. It'll be the first titled draught because that's a retriever trial.
Those are cool dogs. Did you see the guy that had the English setter at Delta or Ducks Unlimited? I think it was at DU at the Ducks. Did you see the guy with the English setter he was walking around with?
I saw
it. Looked like a Dalmatian.
Yeah, it was ticked, black and white ticked.
Yes, it had it shaved cut. It's a really interesting dog. He was a really neat guy. I talked to him twice. That's a cool dog.
Well, I was just sitting there thinking, Andy, to guide as much as you guide with a dog, man, you probably know way more than I do about
I don't know
working dogs. I mean,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing it. You're doing it every day.
Right.
I would never have that much experience working dogs on retrieves.
Don't let Andy be humble. That dog retrieved tens of thousands of ducks with him in every situation you could imagine, from ponds to 500, 600, 700-yard retrieves to dying in the field 3 years before he died. Andy thought he died. He had, would they figure that? What did you figure?
He knocks himself out. It was what we figured out. There was like a little low. There was a dip kind of where our blind was, and he was coming back, and he had a bird, and the wing was over his eyes. And whenever he hit that, he missed that step basically, and excuse me, he either knocked himself out or he knocked the wind out of him. But either way, like he laid over, and I was like, oh well, this is it. This is how he'd want to go. And then kind of got over him, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, he's dead. And then, like, you can kind of see the life come back into his eyes. But looking back, that's what he did. He just missed that step. And
so you're hand
Cleaned off of
sealing,
it.
you're running these dogs on blind retrieves and everything. You have to, right?
yeah.
Who taught you that? Did you just learn?
Jeff's dad was a trainer out here. So with Lou was one of Ron's last litters, and Lou was one of the last dogs that he trained. So, excuse me, I got him. He was a Christmas dog, so I got him first part of February, and then we started just training every day. And then so Ron taught me everything that he knew, and then so Lou was, like I said, a Christmas puppy, and then in November. We did a little bit of dove hunting when he was 10 months old, and then November he was 11 months old and going 7 days a week.
Now, do you run them on doves here? Ever?
If it's cool, I will.
Yeah,
with Lou, I did if it was cool, but it's not fair to a young dog. There's a lot of stimulants out there.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about like duck and goose hunting is most of the time the flight pattern's fairly consistent. With dove, they can be everywhere, and you got people strung out everywhere, so it's not very controlled for a young dog. Lou could handle it just because he had done it so much. But for a young dog, if you're hunting a field with 5 or 6 people and you're strung out and,
Just chaos,
you got
isn't it?
people shooting over here and, it's so fast, you're not calling the shot or anything like that. So it's just kind of a lot of herky jerky. And I would be hesitant to put a young dog on a dove hunt. But
what do you usually do to introduce gunfire? What's your method?
So with Ron, he had like a dummy launcher that made that, the pop sound.
Yeah.
And we stood away with him a little bit, and then we just kind of introduced him just closer and closer as the days went on. But Lou never was. They ruined a dog. They passed shot with a 10 gauges over a young puppy, and she never was the same. But and then like, it's a loud house, so I don't think Roy's going to have a whole lot of issues.
Yeah.
Like when he's eating, the kids are tugging on him and dropping crap around him. But with Lou, we had the dummy launcher, and we just kind of introduced, and we were out far, and just that noise got closer and closer, and he never had an issue. I don't know if that's the right way, but that's the way that we did it.
No, I like that. I think that works. It obviously works.
Right.
My dad
bought him.
My dad bought an English female from England that was bred, and she was a field champion. She was a field champion or a national field champion in England. Bought her at 2 years old, Rhea. And she had puppies here. And me and Tony got a puppy from her named Missy. And she was our little pet. And she went everywhere we went. It's our first year really to be full-time up here. And she rode with us everywhere. And she was, 10, 12 weeks old. And we went we had a lake over here. And we had, a bunch of geese on it. And me and Tony was going to go over and pass shoot one evening, which we don't ever do anymore. We didn't have any hunters in November during the week. We just started, and there was a bunch of geese. Went over to pass shoot these freaking geese, and we're banging away at these 10 gauges and shit back when we went from lead to steel, and so we started shooting 10 gauges. And this fucking dog, she ran to the truck and tried to hide under it, and she was gun shy ever since then. Ruined her. Absolutely ruined her. But
How old was she?
She was 10, 12 weeks old. She was little.
She was young.
Oh, she was little dog. She was just been hanging out with us. But there was a litter of puppies, and my dad told us, you can have whatever one you want. We're going to take her to the lodge with her, and she's just going to be our pet. And all the other dogs were yapping, and she just kind of sat in the back and had her head cocked up. And Tony goes, that's the one I want. Just, she didn't.
Yeah.
And she was great. She was a great pet. Man, she died in a house fire burned up, and she died up in it with her litter of puppies, and it would killed us. Anyways, Missy was her name. But we ruined her. But she was a pet. She was just a pet.
Now, y'all both use a term, and I don't know what it means. What is pass shoot?
Oh, just shooting birds flying. They weren't decoying. They were just flying over the top.
Okay.
It's a chicken shit way to waterfowl hunt, I think. But people do it a lot. Windy day. It was a real windy day one day, and we had a place off of a lake where there was 15, 25,000 geese probably feeding in the field, and we were picking out. We were going over to shoot neck collars is what we were going to do, and we took her with she'll set, and there was an old blind. There was no waterfowl blind at this place, and we just set up in it, and we had 10,000 geese behind us on the water a half mile away sitting on our blind.
So you were in the blind with the pup.
And she took off running.
I bet that was loud.
And it was loud, and just, didn't know. And
yeah.
Well, I got an ass, probably 25 years old. My dad chewed on my ass like I was 10.
Oh, man. And, females tend to be a little more susceptible to being gun shy.
Well, she was, and she was just a pet. We never intended for her to be a hunting dog. Anyways, Tony and me had a lab named Beavis that was one of the greatest hunting dogs. Your own dog, there's nothing better than a dead dog. Because once that dog's dead, he gets better all the time.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
going
oh,
to
yeah.
a funeral.
Yeah.
The sorriest sumbitch in town
Yeah.
can die.
Worst
and he's a
thief in
piece-
the world.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he's
he
a
was
piece
a
of
dandy.
shit on Thursday, but
Yeah.
on Friday at his
Yeah.
funeral,
Yeah.
I sure do miss him. You
Yep.
told me yesterday, your sumbitch owed you $100 and you
Yeah.
hated him. Oh, he's a good guy. You just didn't, just a little misunderstood. But that's the way dogs are.
They get legendary, don't
yes.
they?
Yeah.
Beavis there's a couple of articles about Beavis in here. Beavis was in the Dallas Morning News. Well, that's him right there.
I was going to ask you about this article.
That's Beavis. Beavis is in Dallas Morning News, Fort Worth Star Telegram. Beavis probably retrieved, I wouldn't even know. He lived to be 12, 13 years old. He hunted 7 days a week. He had tons of 100 bird hunts that he retrieved. I'll bet that dog retrieved 50 to 100,000 birds in his lifetime. Seriously. I mean, he was retrieving 400 or 500 a week. And he would go do pheasant hunts in the afternoon and retrieve 50, 60 pheasants. So he was retrieving 500 a week, and he would hunt for 10 weeks a year. That's 5,000 birds a year. He lived to be 10, 12 years old. I bet 25 to 50,000 birds easily.
He looks British, Jeff, is he?
No, he was an English dog all the way. Let me tell you a story on Beavis. Beavis was going to Minneapolis. My dad sold Beavis. We had Beavis and Butthead. There were two guys when Beavis and Butthead was out. So that would have been 1993, 94 probably, 92. You know, his dad had a yellow lab, had a labs, and there was two males, and we named them Beavis and Butthead. And Beavis was going to Minneapolis the next day. Dad was taking him to Dr. Ashley's, Tim, vet in Wichita, to get his health certificate, put him on a plane to fly him up there. And he was with his tongue out, and half his tongue he'd been jacking around with one of the bigger dogs, and they snipped at him. Dad thought and bit half his tongue off. So Dad couldn't ship him. So Butthead went to Minneapolis, and Beavis became me and Tony's dog. And Beavis was a great dog. Beavis had ear problems. He would get yeast infections in his ear, and and he would shake his head, and that's what kept him from being a field trial dog.
What if it's somebody caught in the water? Some issue.
He always had ear issues, but he was a great dog. He was a great pet. You'd come driving in, he'd be laid up by the social room up there. He'd just be laying right there. But he would go to that pond up by Tony's, and he would chew on bumpers. He would chew the ends off of them and chew on them and go play with them by himself. He would take that to to that pond, and he would swim out and let them go, and they would go to the bottom. He would dive down in the water 8 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot, and grab them, come back. He'd play all day doing that shit. Just a very unusual dog. Really smart. He was a good dog. But, he's better. You forgot all the shitty things he did. And that's the way Lou is now. Andy forgets about all that hard-headed son of a bitch.
Oh, no, I don't. It's
like we have
forefront of my mind.
We have a puddle back here, and there's a picture I've got somewhere. And if it would rain, Lou would go over and lay in that mud puddle, and then Andy'd have to get in the truck. He'd be solid mud, and Andy'd be madder than hell. And
what's fun about a dog, and especially one that I hunt, so 7 days a week with, is being able to read that dog.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best part. Because Lou had he would curve right on a long retrieve. So, like, it's always fun, like, lining him up. Like, okay, that's about 200 yards out there. If I release him at this angle, he's going to curve. He should curve right into it.
You can drive him remotely,
Yeah, so that was always, looking back, that's and Roy will be like that. Like, I think most dogs kind of curve right or left.
Well, to me, Andy, being like what you're doing is almost better than being a pro trainer as far as dog knowledge, because, man, you're working every day as a team with it. I think that's the coolest thing ever.
It's fun.
And how many days a year do you do that?
7 days a week from November, or 5-6 days a week now that I'm a little bit older. But 5-6 days a week from first part of November to end of January.
Andy's hunting 75 days a year.
Yeah, that's
70, 75.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
But it's fun. Yeah, it was always like, okay, that bird's there. He's going to curve this way, so he needs to angle this much and curve right into it.
You know what's crazy? I've got clients that'll
and most of it's common sense. Like, a lot of times, like, if you play the wind right and get it to where, he's got a shot with the scent and he can hear you and see you, a lot of it's just set up your dog as best you can. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times, guys, it's just kind of hoping a prayer that he goes out there, and they're not really, like, factor in a couple things. You plan ahead before you let that dog go out there, because, and I've kind of got just a rule of thumb is, like, I'm only going to whistle him 3 times. If I've got to send more than that, we're going to reset and we're going to go again, just because the dog's confidence in you can see it whenever he's out there, or at least I could with Lou. If I had him sit and do a hand cast, we get to about 3 or 4, and he's starting to question me, and then he's starting to kind of be cowboy out there. So we get to about 3 or 4 whistles. I'm going to read him and then bring him back in, and we'll just reset and do this all over again.
Because you don't want to erode that trust. He trusts you.
Right. He trusts me, And, now I'm leaning on him with the whistle and he's having to sit. And I could always kind of tell with Lou when he was hunting, and then when he just started like, okay, Dad doesn't know where it is either, and I'm just gonna, because that was the relationship that we had. I wasn't just a big thumb over him all the time, because there's a lot of times we'll knock down 10, 15 birds out of a flock, and it's just back. So there he had the leeway to use his nose, but then he also knew when it was time to buckle down and listen to me. So It's just the trust that you built.
Yeah, you're exactly right. No, man, I think that's great. I wish I could had that kind of experience that many days a year.
Right. Yeah. It's fun, but I just hope I don't screw up the second one is the only thing.
I think we get better with every dog.
I hope so.
Yeah. We all make mistakes starting out.
Mm-hmm. Lou whined, and I can remember the day that he picked it up, and I remember what we were doing. He had kind of hit a little dip in his training. He wasn't as excited with bumpers and everything. And we just made it like really, really exciting. And like we were kind of holding him back just a little bit more, and he started to kind of vocalize a little bit. He had never vocalized before. And then that just kind of snowballed, and we never got that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
Because like I thought, okay, well, he's whining. He's like, he's got the excitement again. He's ready to go. Well, then that just kind of
reinforced it, didn't it?
Just kind of reinforced it.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So
and listen, I still make mistakes, and then I get mad at myself, but it's part of it. But though it's I envy what you do. I mean, I'd love to work with my dogs that much and have that. You've got a great opportunity.
Yeah.
That a lot of people don't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was funny. Like I got to where I never even shocked him. Like he had the shock collar on, and most of what I needed him to do was just that beeper.
Yeah,
it would beep, and he'd kind of, I don't know. We just had a system worked out to where I didn't even really have to shock him anymore.
Don't you love when you're working a dog or training a new dog, and when that light clicks on and they just get it?
Right.
And that's that. Yeah. And then the next step, and it's just so cool. I love that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have to force fetch Roy here pretty quick. Well, he's still losing his puppy teeth, so I think around the six month mark, probably towards the end of this month, middle of next month, we'll.
Now tell me how everybody's got their own ways and methods.
Ron did the toe hitch.
Okay.
So sit them up, paracord between their toe, and then yank that. I've seen the ear. I've seen people even do collars now to force fetch them. But the way I learned was a toe hitch, so that's probably what I'll do.
Yeah.
Unless I can get enough literature on the ear pinch, but with the toe hitch, like you're already kind of dragging them down, so you got your bumper right there. That's just the way that I learned.
Kind of puts you in the right position a bit.
Right. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't. I'm not. That's not one of my strong points. And a lot of the British dogs, you don't have to do that so much.
Right.
But when I get a dog that I have to do that, I let somebody do it for me. I guess I've got a female dog I do that way, just because I don't want to be the bad guy.
You're talking about force fetching.
Yeah. And she's she's super high drive, but she's also temperamental.
Right.
And I was like, anyway. So I that's one thing, and I could never really give anybody advice on. I mean, there's lots of things I couldn't give advice on, but that's one dog training tip that I'm not real good at.
I remember enough of it, but it seemed like that part drug on forever in Lou's training. Like I was so ready to get that part over with and get to like the sexy stuff of like double retreat, double blinds and all this, fun stuff. And it seemed like he was on the table forever. But,
there's one trainer in Texas that it's Rody Best. His wife, I think, if I'm correct, has a force fetch method, a very detailed method that I've been told is one of the best by lots of other trainers. I've got a copy of it in writing, but I haven't ever just went through it. But
I'd be interested to look at that.
Yeah, I might try to share that with you because they're really good trainers and great people. I've had them on the podcast. That's the neat thing. I've got to meet so many
that's cool, right?
dog trainers on this podcast, and I'm always taking notes, and I learn so much from these pros.
Right.
And try to cover different breeds. I didn't realize how hard these Boykin Spaniels are to train. They say they're pretty tough, and they're really smart. I think so, probably. I just had a guy on last week. It's not been out, but I think if you can train one, you can do about anything. But I know I've got a cocker. but I bought her train from England, and she's super smart. And like a lot of cockers, especially females, will tend to be soft, maybe, and maybe you can have gun shy issues and stuff. She is really like a male. I mean, she's just so bold. Nothing rocks her. Nothing scares her.
Yeah,
it's so cool. But I don't think that's the norm.
Right.
I think I got lucky.
Right. Yeah. So what do you notice? Have you hunted with many American labs?
Yes, I have. Actually, when I go hunting, a lot of times it's usually with American labs. I mean, not my labs, but American labs, and I have two. Most of the time, they're a little bigger, taller. Yep. People think British labs are bigger, blockier. The mistake is they're thinking of British show labs, and they look like a whiskey barrel like that with legs.
Yeah, yeah.
British hunting labs, field bred labs, are totally different. They're athletic looking, not fat.
Yeah.
And but they will be 10. Like my American male is probably 15 pounds heavier than my British male. But though both of them had real high drive and stuff.
Now this is just my ignorance on the subject, but like you were talking like the dog that's built like the whiskey barrel with legs. Yes. Are they very good hunters? No.
Most of them, I've actually been to a working test. It wasn't AKC or UKC, just like the Labrador Association, whatever that is. And there was a lot of show dogs there. Most of them really didn't like to swim, or they just really weren't conditioned, and they would get tired, or they'd swim half, then get out and walk halfway back, and they're just not. A lot of them don't have a retrieve drive,
right?
Or they'll just drop the bird and leave it and come on back. So you see very significant differences to me, and I think it's just they're bred for looking for show.
Right.
Now there are people, and I met some people that try to do both. They want their show labs to still maintain the retriever traits,
right? And
they'll put them in test, and I admire that, because I think there's plus and minuses in both. I mean, conformation is good. You want a dog to look right and move right, but I hate to get my hunt drive watered down.
Yeah,
that's it's always a balance to me. Yeah. But like this weekend at the coon dog thing, I saw two of the most prettiest. It was a red bone coon hound, and I saw a black and tan. Two of the prettiest dogs I've ever seen. That red bone was mahogany color. It was just a deep, and it just it walked a certain way. And then those guys said they're having a coonhound show, so it was a show dog, So I was like, can't you just get that look in a hardcore hunting dog,
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people shoot for, but yeah,
right, yeah, because I've seen the pictures of, like you said, like that it's adorable looking lab puppy.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Like they got this big O and they're fat and kind of roly poly, and I've always wondered what kind of hunting dog that would make.
The ones I saw at the test, like they'd run. I think we'd done like a 75-yard retrieve, and they're just kind of walking, and they'll stop, use a bathroom on their way out, and maybe sniff around on their way back. Just so different. And hey, to each their own. If that's what they like, that's their business. I'm not criticizing show dog owners. I need a dog to do what I want to do, and they need one for their purpose.
And if their purpose is to have a fun looking dog in the house that the kids can play on, and doesn't have a whole lot of drive and tearing shit up, then they got the perfect dog for them.
Yeah, I agree. And then it's like Boykins, for example. They're really popular. They're a beautiful dog, but it's almost like cultish. Like you're a Boykin or you're not. Well, and you get that in the coon dog world. Like these old dudes that like, man, I don't hunt nothing but red bones. All other dogs are trash.
Right.
And it's kind of cool and fun.
Yeah. People like what they like. People are cliquish, and that's kind of like whenever it was time to get a new dog, I was like, okay, do I want to go the British route or do I want to go the American route? And I was just kind of like, I know the American dog, so
you go with what you know, didn't you?
Go with what I know.
Yeah, and you've been happy, and heck, no one else. You know that better than me. I don't get to work dogs as much as you do.
Right. Right. So I just kind of went with what I knew, and I don't know. Maybe one day I'll have a British. I don't know.
I've got two British dogs. I might come up here one day and let you run them or something.
Yeah.
But their drive's off the charts.
Really?
Really. And I mean, I'm sure they're not all that way. I just happen to be lucky. Of course, I knew. I researched.
Yeah.
Yeah. One is from Southern Oak Kennels in Mississippi, and they import really high-end dogs and breed. And there's a lot of – that's the thing. If you talk to dog people these days, especially guys like mine, Jeff's age, that's been doing this for a while, the one thing that's consistent across the board that you'll hear people say is the breeding has improved. The dogs have improved.
Right.
Their dogs are smarter. They're healthier. Well, I mean, we're losing dogs to cancer. I think that could be dog food or vaccines. I don't know.
I wonder
what's
how
causing
often that happened 50 years ago.
I do too. I'd love to see
just
statistics
might not know
on it.
what it was.
Yeah.
Fifi just got sick and died.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm curious.
So what are you feeding your dogs? And while we're on that subject,
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll start off with the asterisk saying there's a lot of really good quality dog foods out, and of course I'm sure there's nothing to feed better than like raw chicken or something. But
Sure.
I can't afford to do that. I've got quite a few, so I use Purina Pro Plan, and I'm actually now switched to the salmon and rice. Here's my rationale for that. First of all, my dogs look good. Their coat looks good, but I've had 2 Purina guys on my show, and I've had veterinarians and stuff too on my show. They have I don't know if it's St. Louis where they're located. They have like literally dozens and dozens of veterinarians and scientists and nutritionists on staff, and they're constantly studying. They have test dogs that they study food on for 12 years at a time, and they just really put a lot into it. They support the sport. Eukanuba also does that, supports the sport. But I feel like for example, I have one working dog or protection dog right now that I'm working on, and this is my pet, and it's a Doberman. And until he hit 1.5, I had a hard time putting weight on him. I'm feeding cans of salmon with dog food and all this, and when I finally switched him over on Pro Plan, I had him on a different dog food, which was a good food. It just wasn't enough. Man, he just filled out, and you can. My dog's coats are so shiny. You know that. Heck, you know that. Probably you're putting dogs through a test every day, and I'd be curious to know what you use because you're working dogs hard.
Pro Plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
It's good.
The Pro Plan?
Yeah.
That's what I feed my dogs.
Yeah. I
Me too.
gave one year I felt bougie, so I switched Lou over to Eukanuba. But I just kind of go with whatever. For a while there, he just, like you said, wasn't keeping on weight, and like we were in December and he was really starting to drop weight and kind of thin up a little bit. He looked sick. So I just went and found whatever had the highest protein.
Yes.
And
I use
meat
that
first, the meat first, whatever.
Yes. You use
Try
that.
to stay away from the corn.
And they've got the 30-20 as their this is the one I use. And it might be a little hot on them in the summer. Like one of my males tends to gain weight, my British dog. So I have to kind of watch him. I really, what I should do is back him down to the 26 protein. But, I don't. I should do that. But yeah, so you're seeing, because to me what's important is fueling them, but also how they recover. I watch that.
Yeah.
And tell me what you see on recovery of your dogs. Do you run the same dog every day?
Well, I only had one, so yeah, he ran every day. And then like there were a couple years there where we were hunting. We'd goose hunt in the morning, we'd duck hunt in the evening. So
twice a day.
I was feeding him in the Walmart parking lot in Oklahoma just so he could kind of recharge for the afternoon hunt. But towards the end, his joints got a little bit stiff, but I put him on some fish oil, and we have some people that hunt with us. He's with the ATF, but he's a dog guy with the ATF, and he gave me some chewables for like joints and joint pain and stuff like that.
Pro Plan makes a joint care chewable, and I'm working on getting them to give me some of that right now. They have a probiotic too, but that joint care, I've heard good things about it. I feed my dogs. I do put fish oil on, and I get it from Jeremy Moore. Jeremy Moore, if you go on Cabela's and see the rubber antlers, that training system, that's him. Okay. Dog Bone, he owns that company. Right. But he's up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But he's really conscientious about what he makes and sells. He doesn't sell anything he doesn't believe in, and I know him.
Yeah.
So
you talking about the powder probiotics?
Yes.
That's what I give my dogs because they lick their feet a lot, and that's a sign of gut health.
Didn't know that. You
Yes.
just taught me something.
Yeah, if they lick their paws and their feet all the time, if you'll see a dog that licks his feet and stuff all the time, their gut health is bad.
Okay.
And so I give Purina makes a probiotic, and it tastes good, I guess, because Ollie's older now. He's 8 years old. He loves it when he will wait for me to put like Amos is going to just go eat. Ollie will wait for me to put that stuff on it, and it's just a powder.
Yes.
And I put it on it, and I guess it's a beef tasting deal.
Is it called Fortifina or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it, right there.
Yeah.
And that's what I give my dogs every day. I put
Every day.
one little package on their foot,
Okay.
and they don't lick their feet and stuff because I can go 2 or 3 days and not do it, and Ollie will especially start licking his paws, and that's a sign of them having allergic and having gut problems.
I did not know
Yep.
that. I'm
And
glad you taught me that.
My vet told me that, and then I've seen it deal. But if your dog is licking its feet all the time, it's having gut problems, and that's why it does it. Or also a dog that's eating grass.
Yes.
Is also having gut
I
problems.
did know that,
and
but I didn't know about the feet.
and when I'm feeding them, when I'm giving them this what is it, Fortifina? Is it-
Fortifina, I believe, right?
Yeah,
like
when I do that, I'll get it from Amazon. I get it shipped every month. I get one of them to me. When I'm doing that, they don't eat grass either.
I need to do that. Now I still do this, and it's just me. I'm kind of OCD, I guess. But I still weekly give my dogs sardines
Oh yeah.
on their food, a whole can, and then maybe once every 2 weeks I'll give them a full can of mackerel because it's really high protein fish oil. It's relatively inexpensive, but I
have
do
to look
that a
at
lot.
that.
My dogs eat all kinds of stuff all the time.
We'll have to look at that. That's interesting.
But we do that. We do that all the time. I mean, I don't give them. They get junk food. They're not eating salmon and shit at my house. They're getting fucking Butterfingers and whatever else they can get a hold on. Especially,
gosh.
they get all kinds of. I'm a bad
Oh,
deal.
gosh.
Do you know when?
Well, I know what my kennels would look like if I did that.
Oh, I don't give them Butterfingers, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you another cool kennel trick a guy taught me in Wichita years ago. He washes his kennel down with palm olive.
How come?
It smells good.
Palm
I
olive.
use Clorox and it stinks.
Yeah,
so I
he
need
uses,
to switch.
he uses palm olive, just palm olive green.
Yeah,
he puts some in the deal and
dishwashing
wash it. I go, what are you doing? He goes, makes my pool not smell bad next to my kennel, and it does. It makes it smell like palm olive dishes. So it smells
I might
pretty
try it
good.
because I use Clorox and it stinks.
Yeah,
but
palm-
it kills everything.
But palm olive works the same way, and that's what
Okay.
it is. Real quick before we get off here, did you know? Just because we did you know? You know when dog food first came out? Commercial dog food,
No,
1860.
who was it?
Was a guy named James Spratt had dog cakes. He lived in London. He's an American, but he was living in London, and he saw dogs eating stale biscuits at a shipyard, and he figured I can come up with something that's a lot more healthy for them. So he came up with the deal.
Tony's taking them.
Okay. Then he also invented the first. It was a biscuit made from wheat, vegetables, and meat. The early veterinary diets were the late 1800s. Commercial dog food started after 1900s. Biscuits and canned food by Milkbone were the first one to make dog biscuits in the 1900s, and then by the by the middle of the 1940s, we got after World War II was the rise of dry dog food. But when they first started doing Milkbone, they also had canned dog food, and it was made with horse meat, and it became really popular because that used to be the wives' tale. You're feeding horse meat to your
Yeah.
dog, and that is true. That's what they were doing. So
I would be interested to know, like, cancer and everything else, how bad it is today.
for dogs,
Just with all the crap that they've given
do
them.
humans have more?
Yeah,
And what do dogs eat? Same things that people are doing, basically.
just more junk.
I mean, you got to have, if you're Purina and you're selling a dog food, you got to have FDA requirements. I mean, they don't let you just sell shit but dogs eat table scraps or they eat dog food. But I think when dogs were eating just scraps of people, but
well, it's
back
not just
then,
that. Like, most of it's corn in dog food.
right? But back a long time ago, when you were feeding your dog table scraps, you were eating healthy
right.
food at
You
your
were
house
eating
because it wasn't full of preservatives
Beef
either.
and
That's
duck
actually
and
a good
chicken.
point.
Yep. All right, I'm going to get off here. Y'all can
Yeah,
finish
yeah.
up.
Well, I got to take guys out here pretty quick. Listen, we appreciate you coming on here. Time to go duck hunt now.
Hey, let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, perfect. All right, everybody, we appreciate you listening and have a great week. Watch for deer.
God, I didn't realize this is.